A historic vote for Missouri lawmakers, how it's going to affect your taxes.
It's taken a year, but now it's here. See the new plans for Columbia Parks.
And a tragic loss takes a classmate, keeping her memory alive. KOMU 8 News at 9 starts now.
Live from Studio 8A, coverage you can count on in high definition. This is KOMU 8 News at 9.
As budget battles continue, Missouri lawmakers voted on the biggest overhaul of the state's tax code in decades tonight. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jem Reek.
And I'm Brittany Pieper. This topic has been one of the main points addressed in the legislative session. We're going to have that story coming up, but first let's take a look at the weather.
Well, compared to yesterday and the last couple of times.
The death of a child is always traumatic, especially for their young friends. But KOMU 8's Micah Smith tells us the special relationship one girl had with her school helps her memory live on.
My first girl, I was so happy.
Micah Smith, KOMU 8 News, Mexico.
Not every student at the Children's Therapy School has a disability. It has 3 students who attend this year without any disability or a delay to help teach the children how to interact with each other.
After a year of drafting, the Columbia Parks and Recreation Department presented its new master plan tonight and heard from the public on various projects. The plan includes 22 proposed new neighborhood parks, as well as new trail projects and new facilities in existing parks. The plan will serve as a guide for the development of parks and rec facilities for the next 10 years. One resident says he's hoping to see an area where students can practice a growing sport.
We'd like students in central schools to have a place to walk to play frisbee golf or disc golf. So, Stevens Lake would be something that we would love.
Others at tonight's meeting said they like certain parts of the plan, like adding winter activities, bike parks, and dog parks. 2 people spoke against some of the trail projects, saying they cost too much and wouldn't be used enough.
A downtown business is moving to improve parking for its customers. Columbia Photo has called 9th Street home for 3 years, but its new location is on Conley Road. The owner says metered parking downtown was inconvenient for customers, and he says parking shouldn't be a problem at the new spot.
Downtown Columbia area, there's either parking or no parking a block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks away, and everybody knows about downtown, and there's an entire parking lot out in front of us here, so it was a natural progression to come out here and to have tons of parking.
The move isn't the only change. The business reopens there tomorrow under the new name Crevcore Camera. It will also be larger than the previous location.
We have an update on the man who died in an Eldon house fire. The Miller County Sheriff's Department says the case is now closed. On April 8th, police responded to a fire on Eldon Road. While investigating, police found the body of 23-year-old Brent Comer. Sheriff Bill Abbott says Comer died from smoke inhalation. He says Comer set the fire himself during a burglary.
Another closed case on a mid-Missouri homicide from 9 years ago. Investigators made 2 arrests in connection with the 2004 homicide of Tony Hope. Clara Rector of Laurie is charged with first-degree murder after confessing Monday to fatally stabbing Hope. Investigators also arrested Jason Rector yesterday for tampering with evidence. Hope was found dead of several stab wounds in his Camdenton home. After following about 60 leads, investigators were finally able to make an arrest. Both suspects are in the Camden County Jail.
The man who started several fires in Ellis Library on the MU campus and a separate fire at Stevens College was convicted of arson today. 27-year-old Christopher Kelly was found guilty in a federal court back in July. Evidence in the trial showed that Kelly deliberately set several fires in the library. In September of 2011, the overall damage cost was more than $750,000.
An update tonight on the body found in a lake at the Montgomery County Golf Club. Montgomery City's police chief says David Salcido drowned. His body was found on April 4th. The Montgomery City police are still waiting for toxicology reports, which will take about a month.
Last week's storms are still being felt by Missouri drivers.
See why local mechanics have been busy all week. And it may be cooler than normal, but there's a sure sign that warmer weather is on the way.
And our weather does seem to be back on track, heading in the right direction. Should be a pretty decent day tomorrow. We'll take a look at it next on KOMU 8 News at 9.
Now, your live Doppler 8 First Alert weather with Chief Weathercaster Dave Schmidt.
Well, a good evening to you. Areas of Alton, Illinois are underwater after heavy rain pounded that city. Several streets and 2 public parks were closed yesterday because of flooding. National Weather Service expected the Mississippi River to crest today at just over 30 feet. However, it could remain there until Friday. It's kind of slow in coming down. Soon enough.
I am so glad to see those 70s on the forecast.
Okay.
Well, speaking of the weather, last week's storms brought rain, wind, and lots of hail. Drivers are now pulling into body shops for the hail damage. Ted Halverson is a dent repair technician. He's been doing the tedious task of popping out dents and dings from that storm. He says the little dents aren't a problem.
There's some cars with not many dents on them, but big dents that maybe we can't fix because they're stretched too far, because there was baseball hail in this.
He says the cars with the bad hail damage can take an entire day or even 2 days to repair. He estimates that it will take 3 to 6 months to repair all of the hail damage from that storm.
Those storms last week delayed a Columbia tradition, but tonight the first Family Fun Fest of the season kicked off in Flat Branch Park. The event was originally scheduled for last Wednesday but had to be postponed because of the thunderstorms and that tornado watch we had. You'd never know that there were snow flurries early this morning, though, as families came out for a night of music, food, and activities. The weather last week did make some things challenging, though.
Event is always the third Wednesday, so people kind of have that in their head. So since it's the fourth Wednesday, hopefully people will still make it out.
Families didn't seem to mind the cool weather and got to enjoy music from local bands, free pizza, and kid-friendly activities. There was a bounce house, face painting, and balloon animals to also keep the kids entertained.
Never was very good with the hula hoop. Just couldn't get it right. After you clean that grease out of the pots and pans, it's of no use to you.
See how one company is turning that waste into wattage after the break.
As we told you at the top of the newscast, Missouri lawmakers voted on a historic change to Missouri's tax code tonight.
KOMU8's Matt Evans has more and joins us live at the state capitol. Matt?
Well, the eyes of the press and the public have been on the Senate this week as senators continued their investigation into the Department of Revenue and passed a budget. Today, attention turned toward the chamber on the other side of the building. It was a big heads back to the Senate by a vote of 90 to 68. And since this bill originally began in the Senate, senators can either accept the changes that the House made and send the bill to the governor's desk, or the senators can ask for the House to work out their differences in a conference committee. Reporting live at the state capitol, Matt Evans, KOMU8 News.
More details from the terrorist plot to derail a Canadian train.
Also, fats and oils in London are going from waste to wattage. KOMU8's India Everett has those stories and more in tonight's Worldview.
The second suspect arrested in an alleged plot to attack a Canadian passenger train was formally charged in a Toronto court today. Shihab Essayer is accused of 5 charges, including conspiracy to commit murder. Both suspects are accused of plotting to bomb a train as it traveled between the United States and Canada. Canadian authorities believe the two are part of a larger group of alleged extremists that has ties within the U.S. and intend on bringing known members in for questioning. At least 4 people were killed and 70 left injured today after an earthquake in eastern Afghanistan rocked the region. Because the quake was 40 feet underground, people as far as New Delhi felt the 5.7 magnitude tremor. There were reports that hundreds of homes collapsed in Kunar province alone. Last week, 200 people were killed when a quake struck southwest China and 35 people died in a powerful tremor in Pakistan. Well, there's a new use for fat and oil in London. The company responsible for water and wastewater services for London wants to use fat and oil to produce electricity. The company called Thames Water plans on sending the fats and oils they find to be refined to energy. One day, the company hopes to collect grease directly from traps in restaurants in central London. And that's your look around the world tonight.
The Cardinals took on the Nationals in a rematch of last year's NLDS.
Find out if the Cards could complete the sweep next in sports.
Ford Sports Desk, KOMU8 Sports with Chris Gervino.
We're on Channel 8 at 10 o'clock. That's sports.
Chris, thank you very much.
It started out as a regular day on the job.
Up next, see how a police officer turned into a hero in a matter of seconds. The scene you're watching unfold is from a train station in Colombia. Watch the man pacing in the white shirt and watch the train coming up behind him. The reaction of the police officer is incredible. Not only is he quick, he's also pretty humble. After gaining popularity from this video, he said he was just doing his job. Coming up on KOMU 8 News at 10.
High waters proved dangerous after a Missouri boy slips and falls into a flooded river.
And let's recap that weather for you. It's going to be mostly clear tonight. Another cool night, getting down to 35 degrees. Clear and chilly. By the first thing tomorrow morning, we could have a couple of areas of scattered frost. But then tomorrow afternoon should warm it up to about 60 degrees. Looking pretty good. Headed in the right direction.
It's about time we get some decent weather, and let's make it last for a while, because there's no staying power here. We'll have
because it's almost May.
It is.
Let me see what I can do.
All right.
Would you please?
Cardinals and Royals, Chris?
Yep, Cardinals win. Royals are losing in the 9th inning.
All right.
Have a great night.